Hey guys, what's up? It is week 114. I'm going to start this out with the American Horror Project Volume 2 drawing, and you get the tote bag and the Blu-ray set. The contest is over. I got the entries all in. We're going to do it with a randomizer. There's a number that always appears on the screen right away that is not the winner. I got to tap this, so we're going to hop right in here and do this. I got all the names on here, so you can look and check. I got all your emails, so it was open to everybody in North America. Let's see who the winner is. We're going to tap. I got to press the redo. I always screw this up. I am not meant to do this. We got number 9. Now let's go look at the sheet and see who number 9 is. I got the names they listed, but I have everybody's email. So it is Full-Time Horror Junk. So let me know, Full-Time Horror Junk. I will get it to you ASAP. Now I want to do some corrections from the past couple weeks. I kind of screwed up. I think when I was showing The Color Money, I said The Sting. It was the sequel to The Sting, kind of with the same character, Paul Newman. It's The Hustler. I knew that. I don't know why I said that. Sorry about that. And also in the How to Fill a Wild Bikini, I said it was I Dream a Genie. It was Bewitched. Sorry, I made a mistake. I always confuse those shows. It's been a long time since I watched Nick at Night, so pardon me. Also, I want to get into, this is the 1986 special episode. Derek Bourgeois did a whole, it's your show, so he got to pick 5 movies I'm going to cover, and he picked a theme. His birth year, which also happens to be my birth year. We are brothers in 1986 here. He picked 5 different movies from 1986, so I'm going to hop into this and do those. We also have some Patreon picks, a weekly Western, and of course, Hammer Time. So the first one he picked was one of my all-time favorite movies. It is 1986's, of course, Night of the Creeps. So yeah, okay guys, Night of the Creeps. What can I say about this movie? I was familiar with a couple of the ones he picked, and I was sitting there watching them like, what am I going to say about this movie? I've seen it so many times, it's so close to me, I can't look at this like critically or even analytically, any real way, so I'm just going to kind of gush about Night of the Creeps. It was directed by Fred Decker, who went on to do The Monster Squad. He directed 2 of the most beloved horror films from the 80s. Night of the Creeps follows a story of an alien space slug that gets launched into Earth during the 50s. Meanwhile, at the same time, there's an axe murderer going around hacking up, people, couples, that are making out. So this slug enters the body. The body is frozen. Cut to 1986 during Pledge Week or whatever it is. We have these 2 kind of dorky kids to impress this girl named Cynthia Cronenberg. Yeah, last name. Lots of last names like that in this movie. Landis, Romero, Carpenter, King, all those pop up in here. Obviously, Fred Decker and the writer of this movie are big horror fans. They love the 50s stuff, obviously starting in the 50s. They love the 80s stuff. So we're in the 80s. These 2 guys to impress a girl to get into a fraternity. They steal this body that has been frozen. It's the body from the 50s that has the slug in it, the space slug. Of course, the space slug gets all over campus. People start turning into these weird zombies that puke up slugs. We have a zombie invasion. Yes, enter the man, the myth, the legend, Tommy motherfucking Atkins. Yes, Tom Atkins is in tons of stuff, not just horror movies. He's in Lethal Weapon, Striking Distance. Great actor, wonderful actor, The Ninth Configuration. He's also in The Fog, Halloween 3, Creep Show. Regardless, he's a horror icon. He's a legendary character actor. Great stuff. He enters in here and turns in probably his best, most memorable, most fun performance as this detective who has ties in with the 50s, murder case and whatnot. So he kind of knows what's going on. He's drunk. He's crazy. He's kind of suicidal. So he starts to intermingle with these 80s kids. Of course, the baddies are, the alpha betas. Alpha betas are always dicks. I think the Revenge of the Nerds bad guys were alpha betas as well. But who's really the bad guy in Revenge of the Nerds, right? Hey, I'm just kidding. But okay, so this is what we have here is a lot of fun, a lot of really cool moments. There's even little like comic booky, definitely flashes here when the eyes pop out of the bus driver's head when he almost crashes. We have some silly lines that always stand with you. Tom Atkins has this sarcastic mouth on him, and his interactions with everybody are great. He's just like, all right, let's get this lethargic police detective tired of living. There's some nice little cameos in here, small roles by people like Robert Kerman from Cannibal Holocaust, legendary actor. He He also was in Debbie Does Dallas, but you don't need to know about that. Vic, I can't say his last name. I always mispronounce it. He plays the coroner. He's also in Graveyard Shift, Eraser. He's one of those coroners who's always carrying around a sandwich with him during a crime investigation. We also have Dick Miller, and my favorite scene probably in this movie that doesn't include like the crazy fun stuff is Dick Miller interacting with Tom Atkins, because like through this whole movie there's a lot of young actors, and when Tom Atkins and Dick Miller are in the same scene here, it's a great scene. His name's Walt too, so anybody that's seen like other movies where he plays Walter Paisley, so yeah, so their interaction is priceless and just wonderful. It's these two character actors just trying to best each other. I love seeing that. Regardless, this is an all-time favorite. There's some good fun effects. There's bros getting what they deserve. There's lots of funny stuff. There's lots of great soundtracks in here, 50s and 80s stuff. It's one of these marriages between the 50s and 80s movies that I love so much, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, or the remake of The Blob, or Blue Monkey. Blue Monkey, not so much love, but I always put that out there when it's the 50s, 80s kind of mix, and this is probably the quintessential for me. There's lots of good gags that I just love, and the stuff that Tom Atkins says is always memorable. The good news is your dates are here. What's the bad news? They're dead. I love that line. What else does he say? Creepy crawlies, exploding heads, zombies, and a date for the formal. This is classic Spanky. I mean, you can't beat him. He's such a driving force in this movie. He has his own catch line, of course. This edition actually includes a couple new interviews they added on from the old Blu-ray, and it includes the theatrical and the director's cut. I grew up watching the theatrical, so I like it. I actually, strangely, this never happens, I prefer the director's cut ending. I think it's better. I think they use the miniatures is great. I love the opening of this movie. It's like, how many times can you see little aliens and like space slugs and zombies all in the same movie, an axe murderer that all comes to it? I mean, there's some stuff that logistically doesn't make much sense, but I mean, but who cares? You're having so much fun, you forget about it. It's an all-time classic for me. It's probably one of my favorite movies made in the 80s. Definitely probably top 2 made in 86. Henry's pretty tough, unless we're counting that at 86. So I love this movie. I adore this movie. I thought it looked pretty good on the Shout Factory release. I'm not sure if they cleaned it up at all from the old Blu-ray, but I know that they did some new audio mixing, which was pretty impressive. There's just these moments. You have moments in your head for movies that like stick with you forever. And the scene where they're at the 80s frat party, and the character with the crutches. Also, there's a character with a disability in here who is actually probably one of the most likable characters in the movie. Love seeing that. He has the crutches, and he makes fun of this alpha beta guy with a unibrow and tricks him, and it cuts away to when he's leaving, and it shows him standing with the girl, like, you know, moving his shoulders like he's a tough guy, and the music that they play in the background, it always stuck with me, how the camera pans out. It's just these small things like that just embedded in my brain forever. Love it. Highly recommended. Very glad it was one of the 5 that Derek picked. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, Night of the Creeps. It's a freaking classic. Love it. Very good. Just good stuff all around.
The night of the formal is finally here. For Chris, Cindy, and JC. It's going to be the best night of their lives. But tonight is also the night of the creeps. From a world unknown comes a nightmare unimagined. First, they are under you, around you, on you, and then inside you.
They get in through your mouth, and you walk around while they incubate, even if you're dead.
They are a new breed of terror.
Freeze!
They are a different kind of horror.
Zombies, exploding heads, creepy crawlies. We could have a little problem.
The creeps are taking over.
I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
You have never had a night like this. Night of the creeps. If you scream, you're dead.
Okay, another one from Derek's picks here is the 1986, I'm going to keep doing it, classic from Oliver Stone, Platoon. Yes, this is another Shout Factory release. I actually have a history with this movie too. I watched this movie a bunch of times. I always felt strongly about it. I even read the novelization of this and the script. I got so down into this movie and into it that I knew all 30 characters in the platoon, all of them. And there's some minor characters that barely don't, that they probably don't even have speaking lines. But obviously this is based on, you know, Oliver Stone's experiences in Vietnam. He actually was a Vietnam trooper in there, and he firsthand was there, so he kind of like takes that and adapts it. But there's obviously some other stuff in here, like, you know, real tragedies that happen that he incorporates kind of like iconic imagery and stuff like that. I've always compared the scene in the village to Cannibal Holocaust, but my understanding is that something like that happened a lot in Vietnam, and there was televised stuff that looked a lot like that. But regardless, those scenes definitely come from the same source material, and I'm not sure if Oliver Stone actually saw that movie, Cannibal Holocaust. But regardless, I'm going on a tangent. I should talk about the movie. We have this new recruit, Chris Taylor, played by Charlie Sheen, and he enters into this world of hell. Vietnam is hell. He's narrating in there. He's writing it to his grandma, which is kind of silly. And, you know, it sounds really silly. He's like, Grandma, and just like Charlie, okay, but so he's thrown into this platoon almost immediately, and it's just horrible. There's like a divide between the platoon and everything like that. There's obviously kind of the more people that don't want to be here, and they're just kind of always like shit on and do the hard work, and that is kind of under Elias, who is Willem Dafoe. And then there's the more authoritarian leader who almost seems to just live for the war. He would not know what else to do with it, Tom Berenger, and he's all scarred up. And these two juggernauts of performances, they deliver two acting performances that are top-notch. I think this is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Willem Dafoe performance. Just great stuff. The supporting cast in here is vastly impressive. Some of them very young at the time. We have John C. McGinley, Tony Todd, Johnny Depp, Forrest Whitaker, Keith David, and that's just right off the top of my head. So if that tells you anything right there, just tremendous acting, tremendous actors, a lot of great characters. Even the small people in the platoon with tiny roles, you know, do a great job. Also Richard Edson in here, you know, Kevin Dillon. I just really have a fondness for this movie, to be honest, and I think it's just war is hell, and it's miserable, and it shows that your soul's being fought over in this war. He's having an eternal conflict with himself within this war, and I've never seen a platoon in any movie take so many casualties or injuries or anything like that. But at the end of this movie, literally, there's only like 3 or 4 guys that can actually stay in Vietnam and continue. I have to say an extra word for John C. McGinley here. John C. McGinley plays such a suck-up little snob, and in this movie, it shows you that it gets him nowhere, and I love that. And it just deserts at the end here. Tom Berenger in this movie has a great scene where he wanders into the bunker after some really tragic and really shady stuff happened. Not tragic, shady, murder basically happened in this movie, and he confronts a bunch of people, and he's drunk, and you know, you think that he wouldn't take this marijuana that they're smoking, and he grabs it, and he starts to give this speech, death, what do you all know about death? And you pretty much understand who this character is through that minor speech and his actions and things. He says, I don't care what you guys do, basically, but, you know, as long as a man does what he's told. And that's all he is he just wants this war, and it's all he's driven by and whatnot. Just, unfortunately, in this movie, to be honest, I don't want to be nitpicky or anything like that. The performances are so strong from the supporting and Tom Berenger and Willem Dafoe. Charlie Sheen is the weakest in this movie, especially when, like I said, you have side characters like Forrest Whitaker and Keith David. Keith David, tremendous. His voice in here, when he sings "Oh Susanna" when they're walking, and the way that transitions and everything like that, highly memorable stuff. Super iconic imagery here, even though I think that the scene in Cannibal Holocaust is just iconic, just as iconic and maybe more powerful when they burn the village down. But there's just this immense, you know, filmmaking here, and the score, I think it's a John Williams. John Williams did the score on this one, I think. I can't remember 100%, but it's very powerful. And there's just a scene in this movie. People will accuse Oliver Stone of shoving his opinion down people's throats, but hey, I've pretty much enjoyed every movie he's made, and you know, at a certain time frame. JFK, Natural Born Killers, this one, U-Turn. So I don't really have many complaints. I haven't seen many of his newer films. I don't care. His films come out, even if the message is sometimes really strong. Sometimes you got to hit the people over the head with your message or whatnot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It really works in Platoon. You know, I really enjoy it. I think that it's a well-acted movie with a, you know, it gives you a side of hell really horrible. And there's a scene in this where there's 2 recruits that one comes in with Charlie Sheen, and the fate of this character, the fate, his whole scene, and what happens in the jungle just makes you sick. Within the first couple minutes, like 10 minutes of this movie, you're ill and sick of what happened. I literally was like, oh my God, you know, I didn't register this when I watched this 20 times when you're 15 years old. You don't register how, you know, fragile life is, or seeing somebody die like that and how real it felt. It's just really kind of terrifying and sad and disgusting. It makes you nauseated in the beginning of this movie, but great stuff. Highly recommended. Really grueling at times too, and there's just lots of side characters with just, you know, they carry their whole performance with just one or two lines and just being in the background here, and they show like this whole platoon, you know, a lot of the poor people picked out and stuff like that, all different races and backgrounds, and just the only thing they had really in common is that they were poor for the most part. There's definitely a separation in there, and classism within the platoon as well. Just an excellent movie, a divide within a war. Scary stuff.
In 1967, Oliver Stone was a combat infantryman in Vietnam. During his tour, he received a Bronze Star for gallantry. 10 years later, in Hollywood, he was picking up an Oscar for the screenplay of Midnight Express. Now he has another story to tell. A movie that grew out of his own experience. Stone has come a long way from Vietnam, but he has not left it behind.
People say I'm the life of the party 'cause I tell a joke or two. Loud and hearty, deep inside I'm blue. So take a good look at my face. You'll see my smile looks out of place. If you look closer, it's easy to trace the tracks of my tears.
The first real casualty of war is innocence. The first real movie about the war in Vietnam is Platoon.
Okay, the next one here, again from 1986. This is the first one I hadn't seen. Band of the Hand. This is produced by Michael Mann, so you can expect action, right? This one is definitely one of these deals. The writer or director of this movie loved the Dirty Dozen book. The book for the Dirty Dozen, because that's essentially what this is. You know, those movies where they take youth and they try to make them, train them into something else. It's like the plot of the Dirty Dozen book, more so the book, kind of the movie. Excite them, you know, get them tough and send them on a suicide mission and whatnot. We have these 5, you know, kind of horrible criminal younger kids. They all have varying crimes that they've done. The most standout actor of the bunch is Leon, who appears in Cliffhanger and the show Oz. Tremendous actor, great in this as well. This is a very dated movie, very 86. Everybody's outfits and attitudes and the stereotypes, of course, it feels like an 80s movie. So we have Stephen Lang, who played Ike Clanton, and he's in Avatar and some other stuff, bunch of stuff. Don't Breathe. He is this I think he's all Native American kind of trainer, and he takes all these kids in, and he's supposed to clean them up. They're sent to, you know, like prison for kids, but he takes them out. There's no evidence of them whatsoever. They all have different backgrounds, different crimes. A couple of them hate each other. They all seem to be different races and, like I said, backgrounds and whatnot. We have kind of like a more southern kind of tough guy. We have an African American. We have a Puerto Rican. We have a kind of a richer Hispanic that dealt with drugs, and we have kind of like a trailer kind of park kind of kid. So they're all always fighting and constantly saying racist stuff to each other and never getting along. And of course, you know, this movie's going to head into where they hate each other's guts and they're at each other's throats, but they kind of bond and become this band on the hand, and they have to avenge something and carry out some things. Also, there's a side plot, of course, with James Remar, classic actor, who is this horrible person that was this big drug dealer that was involved with the kind of richer guy who's also a drug dealer and his girlfriend. So that becomes like the main focal point for these guys to go after. Lawrence Fishburne is also in the movie, so that's kind of cool as well. This is kind of, you know, the first half of them being in the Florida Everglades trying to survive, fighting amongst each other, some kind of jokes here and there, you know. They're not really likable at all, and it's a kind of deal like that. You know how they have those characters and eventually they come together. That's basically the whole movie. And then they have a mission they go on. The one thing I really wish they set this up maybe for possible sequels. They should have just killed some of the characters. I don't think that the characters were as great as they thought they were, or as likable as they thought they were. I guess that really wasn't the point, though. And the whole thing, I don't know, somebody else back me up here. The whole thing seems a little homoerotic, or the relationships with the brotherly stuff, but I guess when you have like that masculinity bonding in movies, it all kind of feels that way sometimes, you know what I mean? But in this one, I kind of feel it does at times, like especially the outfits they're wearing, you know, the 80s and stuff like that. Lots of like weird, crazy outfits and that. Stephen Lang is decent, even though he's completely miscast as a Native American, but hey, whatnot. Why not? And like I said, I can't relieve the connectivity between, you know, how much this is like the Dirty Dozen book, where they have all these different races and backgrounds of people, and they're constantly at each other's throats, and they all hate each other's guts, and they all feel like outcasts and misfits. But then Dirty Dozen, I'm not going to spoil the Dirty Dozen book for you, but in the movie, some of them kind of bond together or whatnot. But this one is more, you know, coming together. The action's pretty solid. It's pretty done pretty well. There's explosions, there's gun battles and whatnot. No real complaints. It's pretty solid. It's not an amazing movie. I wish I would have saw this when I was like 15 or 12 to 15 years old. I think would have hit that sweet spot, and I think I'd have an affection for it. Right now, I think it's all right and decent. You know, the music, the soundtrack is out of this world. I bet it's very expensive. There's Bob Dylan on here, tons of other people, lots of very memorable or, you know, recognizable songs in here as well. You know, it looks pretty good and sounds pretty good for Mill Creek. I think there's subtitles, and that's about it.
Once they were the problem.
This is you. Your criminal past. They gave you to me.
Now they are the solution.
We cleaned out the park. Next come the streets.
Now they're on our side.
Let's take the man down.
From the maker of Miami Vice. Band of the Hand. Rated R.
Starts tomorrow with a theater near you. Check newspapers.
Okay, guys, the next one here, again, you guessed it, 1986 from Martin Scorsese. This is The Color of Money, the sequel to The Hustler, starring legendary actor Paul Newman and future legendary actor Tom Cruise. Is Tom Cruise legendary? I'd say I guess he is. Regardless, The Color of Money, here we go. Paul Newman plays the character he played in The Hustler, which I have not seen from the 60s, so I was a little lost at that point, but my understanding is you don't need to see The Hustler to catch on to this movie. Paul Newman is this kind of whiskey salesman, liquor salesman that he used to be, you know, this big-time pool hustler. He sees Tom Cruise in this kind of dive bar, and he's just a tremendous pool player. He's very weird and strange, and he also notices his girlfriend around. Oh, what is her name? Mary. I think she's in The Abyss. She's really good in this as well. And Helen Schaefer's in here as well, which she's in a movie coming up here, The Park Is Mine, and she was in Burn Offerings, which I did a few weeks back. So, okay, what we have here is Paul Newman, and he sees Tom Cruise, he takes him under the wing, and he's going to teach him how to be a hustler, how to make money playing pool. And he tells him all these different, you know, kind of, I guess, old wise men things like, you know, the best professional pool player is not the guy who wins the tournaments, it's the guy who walks out with the most money. So he goes around all these small little deadbeat places, making a road trip to try to, you know, teach him how to do it. And Tom Cruise is very naive and very weird and very strange, as in I think he might be in real life. Not naive, but strange and weird. So, yeah, but Paul Newman starts to discover things about himself as well, you know, that he missed this, and he starts to get into it himself, and it's going to lead it's a sports movie in a kind of way, and going to lead, you know, to some competition and some turmoil between the two or three of them, because we have this weird relationship as well. Paul Newman, George Kennedy said that Paul Newman told him, and this is in the Cool Hand Luke special features I watched last week, that Paul Newman was saying to him that, you know, really, or maybe he just said this and George Kennedy was quoting him, I'm really just a character actor. Even though he is usually the star of movies, he said, I'm just a character actor. And you think I was watching, like, you know, stuff like Road to Perdition or Cool Hand Luke or The Color of Money, I'm like, you know what? He is never the same. He's not just, hey, I'm Paul Newman, I'm just going to fly by. And I love movie stars, don't get me wrong. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, Burt Reynolds, you know, Clint Eastwood, John Wayne. I love those guys. But they are just them, usually. They're different situations, different kind of characters, but they're them. This guy, man, he's not just, you know, Paul Newman. Completely different characters. He becomes these characters, and he does a great job in this one as well. He is a very likable person, although he is not perfect. There's a great scene where he has a pool game with Forrest Whitaker. Very strange, Forrest Whitaker in two of these movies. So he had a good year in '86, a very blossoming career for him, you know. or you know, year for him. I really enjoy that scene. He discovers a lot about himself, and at the very end, it's tense. You wouldn't think that, you know, Pool could be that tense. Was I saying bowling earlier? I feel like I was saying bowling earlier, but Pool would be that tense. And he started, like, it's really nice to see how it's all done. And this is such a different movie that this doesn't feel like a Martin Scorsese movie in a typical fashion, because I'm so familiar with like Taxi Driver and Mean Streets and Casino and Goodfellas, you know, Gangs of New York, really violent films, to be honest. And this one is just so different from what I'm used to. I think it's well directed. I love how it looks in the bars. You know, they get that smoky atmosphere and stuff like that. I really enjoy seeing all that stuff. And just the whole pool competition, all these different characters. Bill Cobbs is in here. Just tremendous performances. Nice little character piece on Paul Newman. And you wouldn't really expect this to be, you know, a lot of it is low key at the same time, but it ends perfectly how you would in this kind of movie. Tom Cruise is great in this movie. You know, I'm not the world's biggest Tom Cruise fan. I don't think he's awful. Of course not. I always respect him for doing a lot of his own stunts or partaking in part of the stunt, which I'm like, a lot of actors would not do that. And I also think that when he plays a creep, or a weird, or kind of a jerk, he's really good at it. And he plays kind of a weirdo, or not necessarily a jerk in this movie, and he's really good at it. And you see his character change from being kind of naive and silly to actually being kind of a jerk and whatnot. And there's some great turns in here. I can't go in depth about it because I feel like there's a lot to talk about, but I'm just not really the guy to dive into a lot of this stuff. But like I said, the editing is good too, with the pool ball, the bowling, like the pool balls hitting each other. I don't know what I'm talking about. I almost said pool cues hitting each other, but yeah, bouncing off and whatnot. It's just, and the way they film it, you know, sometimes they're actually playing pool and it looks really slick, and you know, other times they're just letting the audience know that it went in the hole, because it would be impossible to get every shot going in the hole. But just good stuff. Watching both these people, one learn how to replay pool and find his love again for the game and the chase and whatever it is, and the other one, you know, learning how to kind of hustle, but also being terrible at it at the same time and getting better at it. But really enjoyable, really great movie. Obviously well performed, well acted, well directed, and you know, it was cool to see Martin Scorsese do something a little bit different, for me at least. I know he's done tons of movies, I just haven't seen them, but for me it was something different.
Paul Newman in an Oscar-winning performance, Tom Cruise like you've never seen him, an electrifying partnership across the pool halls of America. Director of Taxi Driver and After Hours, Martin Scorsese takes the hustler to the big time. The power, the rivalry, the glory, the color of money.
Paul Newman, Tom Cruise, in a Martin Scorsese picture.
He's got the eye, he's got the stroke, he's got the flair.
Vincent's the best.
We got a racehorse here, a thoroughbred. You make him feel good, I teach him how to run. I'm not your daddy, I'm not your boyfriend, so don't be playing games with me. I'm your partner.
I love this.
You're an incredible flake, but that's a gift.
Lost money.
Hey, oh, come fix him. I got half of me that says I got a hold of the best thing that I ever seen, and half of me that says it just ain't worth it.
Why don't you take a walk? $500 says you choke right now. You used me.
Yes, I did.
I'm gonna leave.
Ah.
This is Fan City Felson. Who the hell are you?
25 years ago, I won my share of medals. But it was over for me before it really got started. I'm hungry again.
See some heavy legend action.
I won his best game.
You want my game? You couldn't deal with my game, Jack. You're outmanned.
I'm gonna beat him, you know.
What makes you so sure?
Touchstone Pictures presents...
You smell what I smell? Smoke?
Money.
The Color of Money.
Okay, the last from Derek's pick is the 1986 movie Castle in the Sky by Miyazaki. Miyazaki did, you know, stuff like Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle. Those are the two I'm familiar with, and I think I seen Nausicaa of the Wind as well years ago. Oh, My Neighbor Totoro, I've seen that one as well. So I've seen quite a bit of his movies, you know, and it's not, these kind of animated movies are not my strong point, although I do enjoy them. The Last Castle, or The Castle in the Sky. Sorry about The Last Castle, is a Burt Lancaster flick, right? The Castle in the Sky. This is a steampunk movie. It takes place, I guess they said Victorian age, but if it was an alternative history or whatnot. So we have this young boy who's obsessed with this Lapida, which is this supposedly like mystical or, you know, fairy tale place, not really known if it exists, floating you know, village or town in the sky. No one's really seen it except this boy's father, who is no longer around. There's a picture of the town he snapped. He runs into this young girl. These people are chasing the young girl. She's kind of being held captive at one point. She escapes, and it seems like this government officials are after her, and all these bandits are after her, this whole like pirate ship or whatever, because she has this crystal around her neck, and this crystal is something to do with Lapida, the castle in the sky. So she's on a run. The young boy team up, and they're on their way to try to make it here. What I really liked about this movie, the music I remember being great, the animation being great, tons of great characters in here. I watched the original Japanese version because I feel like animation usually is better in its first language, and I think that's so much with it, Miyazaki's movies, because I tried to watch Mahal's movie Castle in English, and way better in Japanese. So yeah, I love the music in this movie. I love the story. It's very fairy tale, very fantasy, and it does get dark in here. You know, I didn't really necessarily expect it, but it got dark. And they take this group of characters that you think are the main baddies, and they kind of completely flip them on the head and make them completely endearing, which is also great. I thought it was a beautiful looking movie. Everything in here is great. There's really some suspenseful moments when the main character's trying to survive, and it has the kids as the main, you know, protagonists, so it's even scarier because they're freaking kids. I don't know how much more I can say about this movie. That does have, you know, environmental things in here as well. I noticed at the end, like the bomb going off, and you're like, you gotta have that in a Japanese movie, or a threat of some kind of giant nuclear explosion or big explosion like that. But come to find out, Lapida is this paradise or something like that, or like, you know, the whole, you know, I don't want to give away too much of the twist, but when they get to Lapida, it's a beautiful thing with all these animals and overgrown village. It just looks overgrown, like with shrubbery and woods. It's just a beautiful looking movie and beautiful looking village, and you really start to side with, you know, the heroes, and you learn who the crystal is and some people who they really are, and the military's after them, and there's some great stuff in here. I love the pirates. They're really fun and goofy, and there's a great fight scene in here with one of the pirates where basically the town tough guy of the village, who's a good guy, and one of the pirates, they have a flex off and their shirts rip off and they fight, and the whole village gets in. There's some good comedy bits in here. It's equally touching, equally funny, just an all-around great kids movie to watch, or a family movie. It wouldn't keep anybody bored like that, and I appreciate Derek giving me a variety of movies to pick. We have a war film, we have a horror film, we have, you know, an action movie, we have a drama, and then we have like an animated fantasy family-friendly movie. So completely different genres. All of them were good to great. Band in the Hand's probably the least, and then all of the other ones were pretty much classics that I loved already, or new classics that I will learn to love or fall in love with, or I fell in love with. So all those were great. I don't know, The Castle in the Sky, I like what I've seen here. Like I said, just a very touching movie. You know, it's one of those ones where you get teary-eyed and whatnot and everything like that, but lots of excitement, lots of fun, highly recommended. All these movies are actually recommended, so I'd recommend checking them out. Again, Derek, thank you for doing this. You're always, you know, the biggest supporter probably of the channel. Love you, man. Great stuff. He also has a podcast out there, Cinema Apocalypse, if you want to check, or Cinema Attack. Sorry, I always say Cinema Apocalypse is his old YouTube show. Cinema Attack out there. He also has a YouTube channel. All the links will be below, as always. So I'm going to roll that trailer for you guys.
One day, everything changed. I'm not sure how I survived. I was all alone.
Looks like a body. Well, the way you fell from the sky, I thought that maybe you were an angel or something.
What?
Yeah, I had to catch you. It's Lapida, a floating island.
An island that floats in the sky?
Yep. Most people think it's just a legend, but my dad actually saw it. Nobody believed him. I am going to prove that my dad was no liar.
Look, my stone's glowing. It's been in my family as long as I can remember.
That crystal is extremely powerful.
Huh?
Lady, come back here!
There are pirates chasing us, and the army's right behind them.
I want that pistol! Somebody's got to protect your friend.
It's my fault getting you mixed up in all of this.
Are you kidding? This is the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me.
You've bungled things, sir, and now I must fix them.
I wonder who that guy is and what he's doing with the army.
To try to use the crystal's power for selfish reasons will bring great unhappiness.
You know, the odds are against you.
They simply don't understand.
The same technology that kept Laputa airborne also made it a major power that once dominated the entire planet. Shoot anyone who resists!
What will we do?
Come on. Beyond that cloud is a floating city that no one here on Earth believes exists.
We're going in! We have an emergency. Hands up! The way to Laputa has been opened! Arrest him!
Please let me come with you. I need to save her.
I'm telling you, this thing is alive!
Stop it! You're destroying everything!
The Earth speaks to all of us, and if we listen, we can understand.
Okay, guys, the first Patreon pick I'm going to go with is from Jonathan Wilhelm, my boy, and he picked Knuclebones. Yes, I had heard about this. This is a midnight releasing one. Yeah, and I was like, Knuclebones. I saw the cover. I never actually checked it out. So what we have here within the first 3 minutes of this movie is we have nudity, Nazis, monsters, and mayhem. I mean, it's a B movie. We're in a B movie right away. So we have these Nazis doing experiments. They bring back this creature, this thing called Knuclebones. He runs amok. We fast forward to modern times. We have this girl who just broke up with her boyfriend. She's suicidal. She has a suicide attempt. She's kind of messed up. All these annoying kids who are ridiculous and for the most part, they're kind of poorly acted and poorly written. They go to this factory where that whole Knuclebones Nazi stuff happened. They unleash Knuclebones. Knuclebones runs amok, starts killing people with funny one-liners and overly the top gory deaths. They squeeze in some nudity, some sex scenes, some new characters come in just to get mangled and killed, but you don't care because you're here for that. That's what you're here for. You're here for, honestly, let's be honest. People watch these movies for the TNA and the kills. And Knuclebones keeps it fairly minimal in the CGI department, which I think people will be very happy to see. They have some nudity. They have some really fun, great kills, although at the end they cut back on a couple of the kills. And if you're watching this for that, then you'll be satisfied. But if you're watching it for like this deep, awesome story, although they do have some things that are kind of deeper than you would expect, although I think they're a little murky how they do it, you'll be happy if you're in it for the gore. Like the characters come in and they're just kind of two-dimensional or one-dimensional characters that get whacked off. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on here. I like that it takes place in a factory. I like the mythology of Knuclebones. Although this movie isn't great, this movie isn't going to win any Academy Awards. After I was done, I was like, I will watch like 3 or 4 more of these just if I was in the right mood because they're fun. It's short. There's a twist at the end where you're like, I don't care about this. Like it's again when you have these high schoolers, but they're actually played by like late 20s, mid to late 20s. And they're just like, I don't care about any of this drama. I just want to see Knuclebones at this point. It's like that's what you're in it for. Some of the deaths, like I said, are insane, and I was like, oh wow, oh my god, oh geez, they're pretty grueling to be honest. Somebody gets their face burned with a butane torch, and I was like, and they show it, stuff like that. I don't want to overhype the gore because I know the gore hounds will be like, I want the gore, and then like they'll watch it and be like, oh, those are average. But no, I would put it to something like Laid to Rest gore or something like that, or maybe Hatchet, not maybe as good as Hatchet gore, but yeah. The deaths are over the top. The one-liners are funny from Knuclebones. And I like some of the mythology they placed. The whole deal with her being suicidal and stuff is kind of like, eh. And there's a scene at the end where you're like, why didn't she just take a dead person's hand? If anybody's seen this, to make the Knucklebone roll dice things, just take a dead person's hand. There's several dead people around. Just take that hand. What are you doing? But okay, whatever. There's a derelict or a homeless guy in here who basically gives all this exposition on the story. He tells you he's like involved with the opening of the movie, and he's the best actor in the movie. I like Knucklebones too, but he's a really strong actor, and everything he does is good. I'm sure there's some ADR in here. That's probably why the acting doesn't come across great. But there are some funny, although immature, lines in here from some of the characters too. The acting, like I said, Rain, I don't want to point out everybody's bad because they're not. Some are good. Some of the characters are fun. It's just an all-around B-movie slasher that has, a decent amount to offer. I would recommend checking it out if you like slashers. I laughed. I enjoyed the kills. I didn't get too attached to anything. Didn't get too upset by anything in here. Like, that doesn't make sense. I was just like, I don't really care. It's fun. And that's what they're going for. And they're trying, and it's good. And we want Knucklebones, too. It's good stuff. It's fun. It is what it is. You'll enjoy it or you won't. This kind of stuff I usually dig. So, and, it's hard to find a fun slasher that's new. The 80s had tons of them. It's not so easy now to find them.
You want to summon a demon?
Okay, who doesn't want to try summoning a demon?
3-2. You lose.
We better get ourselves a demon. Nice roll. Now what?
Please tell me you kids didn't.
We did.
Okay, the next one is a Patreon pick from Jason Willard, and he picked Bulletproof. This is for Gary Busey. This is directed by Steve Carver, who did Lone Wolf McQuade, River of Death. I love Steve Carver because he loads his movies up with old character actors or genre actors. You could tell this dude was like a big fan of the old, Sam Peckinpah movies. So Bulletproof stars Gary Busey as this kind of crazy over-the-top cop, but he's actually an ex-secret agent that gets sent on this mission. They call him Bulletproof because he's been shot so many times, but he never dies. He's bulletproof, baby. He goes on this mission where this secret kind of tank was kidnapped by these communists in Mexico. The communists are, Arabic, Russian, and Mexican. So he's got all these different kind of background villains. Of course, the main Russian villain ties into Bulletproof's history. The girl he's rescuing on this mission ties into his history. So it's all kind of mixed up in here. The cast really saves this movie. Gary Busey, I heard right before his motorcycle accident, everybody's like, that's when he went crazy. I'm like, no, Gary Busey was crazy in this. But I enjoy watching Gary Busey, especially in stuff like Big Wednesday. He's just Lethal Weapon. He's fun. He's entertaining, okay? Gary Busey's got it in these movies. It has tons of people in here. Lincoln Kilpatrick's in here. Henry Silva, William Smith, Lucas Skew, L.Q. Jones, R.G. Armstrong. Did I say Henry Silva? But I was just like, William Smith. I was just like, man, this movie has a great cast. It's loaded with people like this. Very fun. It starts off like you think it's going to be a cop movie, but then it turns into this weird, like, when the bad guys always fought communists in movies. Like, that stuff was always so fun for me. And like I said, Steve Carver always, I think that's his name, yeah. He always picks really great character actors and vets in his movies, which I love seeing. So, yeah, basically what Gary Busey has to rescue them. And that's basically the plot of the movie. It could have used a little bit more action in here, but when the action's there, it's fun. There is a character, a bad guy that gets an off-screen death, and it's like they just forgot to film it or they didn't have time to film it. It's a little obvious. Henry Silva is really over the top in this movie and really gross. William Smith plays a Russian again. Remember Red Dawn? He's like, he did good in that. We're going to get him again as a Ruski. But yeah, the tank they use it's fun, I guess. They use it at the end, of course. Remember that like secret military weapon they used in Stripes that was like a tank? It's like that, but serious, I guess. I think this was after Stripes even. But it's fun. It's not perfect. It's kind of stupid. Danny Trejo's in it as well in the opening. So, like I said, there's a lot of familiar faces. They'll keep you... Come for Busey, stay for L.Q. Jones, or something like that. That's kind of what I would say here. It's silly. It's fun. It's not great. There's no subtitles on this release. The action's solid. It's a movie that you would see on USA at like 2 in the afternoon on a Sunday and be completely satisfied with it. I enjoy watching it just for, the actors to act and whatnot. I just like watching these kind of actors, exchange and whatnot. So, Lucas Skew was in a movie last week. It's like these same actors keep coming in here and there and stuff, but it's fun. You'll enjoy yourself if you like these. Especially, it's on the caliber of River of Death. It's these movies with a fun cast and decent action when it happens. You would like a little bit more, but you're not going to complain with what you get. So, yeah, that is Bulletproof. Not to be confused with Adam Sandler, Damon Wayans' vehicle, Bulletproof. Or there's probably like 6 Bulletproofs. But fun stuff.
We have a deal. I just wish we had somebody good to shoot at, that's all. Hey, man, don't you know that's illegal? The fuck is this?
Your worst nightmare, butthorn!
McBain!
Yeah!
grab it, jump,
Don't worry. It'll all come back to you. Besides, there's nothing but desert down there.
Cactus.
You casi knocked it, pendejo. I'm prendo espada. Who are you?
I'm the game warden.
What?
Bird season's over, Butthorn.
So, this is the infamous Captain Bulletproof?
Yeah. So who are you, Butthorn?
You seen anyone special?
Shut up and look down.
Ooh.
I'm gonna pull the pin and drop it.
What is that supposed to do?
Either blow you to pieces or send you rolling right out of here.
Sounds like fun.
Good luck, Frank.
Thanks.
Okay, the next Patreon pick is from Jeremy Friedman from 22 Shots of Moods and Horror, and he picked 1967's The Incident. Okay, I've not really heard about this movie. I saw that Tony Bustamante was in it. I've only seen him in The Bird with the Crystal Plumage and Martin Sheen. This is a black and white movie. This says introducing these two, so I was like, wow, okay. This is before Badlands with Martin Sheen, so that's pretty impressive. So this plot of this movie also has Ed McMahon in here, Ruby Dee, who else pops up in here? Bill Bridges, so yeah, it's got a nice cast, a lot of familiar faces. This movie here opens up with a brutal attack of a shopkeep owner by these two thugs. They're really mean-spirited. It feels like a lot like a precursor to something like Last House on the Left or House on the Edge of the Park, where we have these two just punks, or it may be kind of like Private Property with Warren Oates. It's like that too. We have these two kind of thug drifters, although they're miserably unlikable, despicable punks, and you just want them to die right off the bat. They assault this guy, so we're right set up that no, these two are dangerous and they are, psychotic. So after that, we are introduced to more characters that just seem to all be having to take this train very late at night, and there's an arguing couple, Ed McMahon and his wife, and their sleeping kid that, arguing about money. We have an old couple who's upset about their son not helping them out, and they're arguing back and forth. We have an African-American couple who, it's a 67, so it's right at that civil rights time here. It's a very, very sore subject. And he's kind of upset that his wife took him to this, rally, this peaceful rally where they were like, we need to, come in the next 100 years. He's upset. He's angry at everything. And obviously, he has good reason to be. But he just despises white people, too. He's just a racist as well. And he's tired of being, mistreated because of the color of his skin. And then we have these two drunks. One is a homosexual, and one is, has a problem with drinking. There's a bum on the train. And we have two soldiers. One is Beau Bridges with a broken arm. So we have all these different characters all getting on the train. They all introduce themselves. They're all, established who they are and what their problems are. And you know what? They always have like one side where one you kind of like and one you dislike, or you side with more so often, or one's more of an aggressor and one's more of a passive person. So they all get on this train, and the last people that are going to get on this train, you already knew right off the bat it's going to be Martin Sheen and Tony. So they get on the train and they start to humiliate everyone. That's why I said it's a lot like, something like House on the Edge of the Park, where we have these two people, or Private Property, where they start to just push people as far as they can, and they start to, exploit all of them. They'll start with the homosexual character, and no one says anything, or the bum. They start with a bum who's on the train who's sleeping, and one of the characters looks over and he sees that he's an alcoholic too. He sees himself in this bum, so he stands up to it, and all these people, they just get pushed around and pushed bossed around and no one does anything and they outnumber them so much. It's kind of a statement on humanity and whatnot. And eventually, you know, Beau Bridges is really great in this movie and the most likable character in the movie, and he stands up. And I don't want to necessarily, he does occasionally he stands up at one point, you know, the African American he thinks is going to do something. So we have all these different characters and they're interjecting, but they never do enough. And when they actually, someone does something or it actually kind of comes to a head, and most people are just disgusted with their own actions. And it's a statement on humanity and, you know, a lot of the, you know, political turmoil and, you know, social problems that were going on at the time. It's shot pretty, I bet, experimental for the time. When Martin Sheen and, like, Tony grab, like, the railing and they fly around, we get that point of view. So it does stuff that I don't really expect here. And I was like, wow, for 67, that's pretty impressive. It's really just on this train for about half the movie. It's just a build-up and a payoff, and you know what's going to happen. It's just waiting, that dread, and just eventually the exploding. I think tremendous performances in here, to be honest. It's all carried on the performances. They're all great. They're all outstanding, especially Tony Bustamante. I think that's how you say his name. So different from this role in Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and he's just a maniac. Martin Sheen's laugh made me want to punch him so hard in the face. But yeah, Beau Bridges, you know, I'm not as familiar with him as obviously his brother Jeff Bridges. He's more my time frame when I saw a lot of movies. So love Jeff Bridges, and Beau Bridges delivers the goods in this one. Really great. A movie that you know, should be watched today, and for its time, I bet it was a really strong gut punch. And very, very well made. I think very impactful and profound, to be honest. I think most people that like these kind of things should check it out. It's called The Incident. And movies on a train are always pretty cool, to be honest. I like trains. They just make things different. But it's, you know, see the city kind of desolate and everything like that. But good stuff. Check it out, and all these differences in people, and they all have their own problems, and they different classes and stuff like that. Oh, I almost forgot. Mike Kellen's in here, too. And he plays a school teacher who's kind of poor, and his wife's angry at him for a lot of things, and I like all these fights between each other and everything like that in the relationships, and then of course these psychos come in and start messing with him. But Mike Kellen was in stuff like Sleepaway Camp and Midnight Express, so yeah, he plays Mel in Sleepaway Camp for you horror fans out there. But great movie, good pick, Jeremy. I don't think a lot of people have seen this one, or I've never heard anyone else talk about it. So yeah, good stuff. Nice hidden gem.
This cat's still out.
How about a drink, General? No, thanks. What's the matter? Don't they drink in the Army no more? Yeah, they drink. So have a drink. No, thanks. Boy, some Army we got. If you're the Army, General, I'm glad I ain't in it.
Yeah, me too.
To tell you the truth, son, I'm kind of glad myself. No, wait. Now, hey, why don't you boys just settle down now, huh? What do you mean? Well, I mean, you had your fun. Why don't y'all stop rocking the boat for a while? Well, I ain't rocking no boat. Hey, you rocking a boat?
No, man, I ain't rocking no boat.
Don't mess with him, Felix. Well, I'm messing with him. Where you from, soldier boy? Me? Yeah. I'm from Oklahoma. Is that supposed to be a big deal? No, not especially. Is a uniform supposed to be a big deal? No, not especially. I mean, is it supposed to mean you're better than us or something? I mean, like your feet don't stink? No, I don't think we're better than you, son. No. However, I do think we're a little quieter. Hey, what do they call you all back home?
He's just looking for a fight.
No, I'll tell you, son. My name's Teflinger. And my friends call me Felix. Felix? Yeah, I guess y'all can't have fun with that now, huh?
You're kidding. You mean like Felix the cat?
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, man, you're too much, you know that? Hey, they teach you how to fight in the Army? Yeah, they'll teach us how to fight. Yeah? Well, it looks like you didn't make out too good, huh? Yeah, it sure looks that way, don't it? I mean, you look kind of lopsided. I can fix that for you. Oh, yeah. Even it out, you know? I bet you could, yeah. Tell you, though, I kind of like it this way. Yeah? Yeah. And they teach you how to be tough in the army?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, are you a tough guy now?
No, I ain't too tough. I'm a peaceable type, so.
What are you supposed to do if somebody like throws something at you? I mean, like the enemy. What are you supposed to do?
Throws what?
I don't know, anything. Like this. What are you supposed to do, Doc? What are you trying to do? Kill somebody? What's the matter? I missed him, didn't I? Come on, soldier boy. Show me what you're supposed to do. Show me how tough you are. You two against us two. What do you say? Just for laughs. What do you say?
Oh, man. That cracker ain't used to this. Ain't tall, ain't tall.
I'd like to accommodate you, son. I got a busted wing here.
One hand behind my back. What do you say?
No thanks.
What are you, yeller?
No. No, I just know you can beat me to a pulp either way. Yeah, I know it, and you know it, don't you? So we'll approve.
Hey, you're stinking well told you know it.
That's what I said.
You know, I don't like you. I don't like the way you talk. I don't like nothing about you. You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to grind you up. So don't talk to me no more, you understand? You just keep your stinking mouth shut, that's all. Shut up!
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
It's too obvious.
What?
It's too obvious.
But Sam, that door won't work. No.
Where you going, Pop? Where you going?
We have to get off.
Where you going?
Please, we have to get off.
What for?
Get off. Look out, the door is open. Please, Pop, let me out.
Hold the door. Where you going? All right, over there.
Oh, you mean this door, Pop? Why didn't you say so? I didn't know you meant this door.
Enough is enough. You're gonna have to train yourself. We want to get off.
You want to get off? Why didn't you say so?
Tell you what, we'll even hold the door for you, Pop.
No, do that. Don't do that. He's jamming the door.
Okay, the next Patreon pick is from Matt Brown, and he picked The Park Is Mine, starring Tommy Lee Jones, man. You know, Tommy Lee Jones is an excellent actor here. And this movie is weird. This is like one of these movies that's about, you know, kind of like a Taxi Driver thing, where we have this, you know, ex-Vietnam vet in Tommy Lee Jones, or is he in the Gulf War? He's an ex-Army vet, and his friend commits suicide. He comes to the funeral and gets a letter from him in the area, and he realizes that his friend was planning this crazy kind of takeover of Central Park in New York City. Central Park's in New York City, so he was planning on taking over the whole park and not really trying to kill anyone, just to prove a point that, you know, in this society, no one pays attention to the vets, no one pays attention to these people that die, that are just spit up and chewed out every day, and everybody thinks they got it so hard, but they don't understand how good they got it, and everybody deserves a voice. He's kind of fighting for the downtrodden. Everybody deserves a voice. He wants to prove a point. He wants to take Central Park for 3 days. His friend had all these mines hidden, all these guns hidden, Clinton. And of course, you know, they're just not going to let that happen. And a reporter's interested, Helen Schaefer from, you know, Color Money. She's interested in the story to get a scoop. Yaltham Kodo is the police chief who is, you know, the only one that seems to know how to handle the situation with any intelligence. We have people like Lauren Stain playing the commissioner, and we have a crooked, you know, not the mayor, the deputy mayor, because the mayor's out of town. I remember in New York City's like, you can't film here if you're going to make fun of the mayor. Maybe something like that happens. So, you know, Tommy Lee Jones ends up taking over this park almost he doesn't fatally kill it. He doesn't kill anyone or anything like that, and he starts to make demands, and he gets mixed up with the reporter, and it's all building up. We see the bureaucracy, and the people actually start to win over. You know, it's these movies where you have like somebody who's technically an outlaw or even a terrorist, like, you know, The Legend of Billie Jean, and it wins over the crowd and not. But I think if they made this movie now, they'd have to take a completely different approach. I mean, like, would it be something nowadays? People think when somebody takes over a park, you think the Bundy Ranch, right? And then, you know, and somebody got killed in that, and they weren't, you know, necessarily looked at as, you know, a heroic type here. Maybe to some, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. You know how it goes. You know, different things, different strokes for different folks. But, you know, he takes over this park to prove a point. He has this idea that he wants people to pay attention to the people that have been, you know, taken advantage of or hurt in New York City, or vets. And Tommy Lee Jones is great in this movie. You know, he's a great actor. He has a lot of screen presence, and he has that stone face, but, you know, deep down inside there's something else going on with him, and he's very good at that. The action's solid. Yaltham Kodo I love. He's always one of these actors I enjoy seeing. And the end, of course, there's some shady stuff going on because corrupt politicians. It's always corrupt politicians. Nobody likes politicians in movies for good reason, because they suck. So we have this deputy mayor that ends up doing something he shouldn't do and puts innocent lives in danger, of course, and then some action happens. The movie ends how it should end, you know, really. Maybe not 100% realistic, but it ends how you think it would end. I like the movie. Tangerine Dream does a score, which is kind of crazy. Tangerine Dream's so strange to me. Like, I like the music, I'm digging it, and I always expect like these powerful vocals to come in, and then they never come. And it always just leaves me a little empty inside, although I enjoy the score and it's unique and different in its own way, you know. But I always want these powerful. In this one, I'm like, oh, where's that going to kick in? I feel like Pat Benatar should sing over this right now, but no Pat Benatar. And without, you know, everything would be better with Pat Benatar. Am I right, guys? But regardless, I like this one. Good, kind of a character piece study on this, and you side with Tommy Lee Jones. I love and they even go to the people on the streets like, we side with them, and the one everybody's fighting for screen time on the camera. Stuff like that. It's a good movie. It's enjoyable, and it's nice seeing New York City at this time. I don't have too much to say about it, except I like seeing Tommy Lee Jones, and he does a great job, and the story's unique, and I don't think you could make this movie only because the idea of, you know, domestic terrorism is so different nowadays. I know domestic terrorism is never a good thing, but either way, I don't know how you'd make this kind of character likable nowadays, or how you would go around it. You know, it'd be so... People wouldn't even care. They wouldn't even pay attention. They'd be like, I gotta go in Central Park. Okay, whatever. Traffic sucks, you know. But good stuff. Good stuff.
His name is Mitch Garnett.
I want you out of the park.
What are you hassling me for? Don't treat me like I'm some kind of junkie. I'm a vet.
I want you out of the park now.
He's fighting back for everyone who was ever pushed too far.
Well, let's not have any stupid mistakes, okay? I don't want anybody to get hurt, and nobody will get hurt if we do everything my way.
He's unpredictable.
We are certain that a band of well-coordinated, well-trained guerrillas is responsible.
Unconventional.
I am the individual who controls the park.
It's one guy. One guy.
And completely unstoppable.
What are you doing in here?
You got something to say? You want to tell people something? You want the world to know about this? Let me get it on tape, and I'll make sure it's seen.
I am staying in this park until 9 o'clock Wednesday night.
We will remove him before the deadline.
They wanted him out of the way.
I'm getting you out of here at first light.
Give me a break. We're both dead and you know it.
Now, he's out of control. Tommy Lee Jones is a one-man revolution, and he's going to war against the city of New York.
Okay, I'm going to follow up that Tommy Lee Jones movie with the Weekly Western.
Let's go.
Why not?
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
Say when.
Feel I'm knocking up on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door.
Hey, Kitty, you bastard! It's you and I!
I don't deserve this.
Okay, it is a miniseries. It is from 1989. It is Lonesome Dove. This is a Mill Creek Steelbook. Pretty cool. And, of course, this stars Tommy Lee Jones, Robert Duvall, Angelica Houston, Danny Glover, a bunch of people in this one. This is a 6-hour miniseries. Like I said, it was the most popular miniseries for a long time. I don't know if it still is. This is a story of a bunch of cattle ranchers that decide to go from Lonesome Dove in Texas all the way to Montana, and Tommy Lee Jones wants to be the first, open the first cattle ranch in Montana. But this is the time, the old West. It's wild. There's Native Americans still out there, and they're at war with the settlers or the ranchers and everybody that goes through their territory, obvious reasons. And there's dangerous bandits, and there's all sorts of horrible things that can happen on undiscovered country. This movie, like I said, 6 hours, is divided into 4 parts. I'm going to say this. There's a couple things in here. I'll skip my negatives over first, and I have very little negatives in the movie. Although it is TV, sometimes it's so thematic, you're like, oh, this is so good, and then a TV scene will happen, and it'll take you a little bit out of it, and you'll be like, you'll start like comparing it to other like giant big movies, but you got to forget this is for TV. So some of it occasionally comes across cheesy. The snake scene, a little cheesy, and the main villain in here, played by Frederick Forrest, who is in a bunch of stuff: Apocalypse Now, It Lives Again, It's Alive 2, and Boogie Boy, and he's good in all those movies. He plays a half Native American character called Blue Duck, and I think his performance, for the most part, his character is written, it's just too cheesy supervillain type, and he just doesn't really fit with the film to me, and I don't care for him, and I think he's just kind of a lame villain for the powerful heroes in the film. Robert Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones are the heart and soul of this movie. Robert Duvall is kind of the carefree, live life, sleep with as many women as you can, always got a joke or a story, philosophing kind of guy with a little harsh smile on his face. Highly likable in this movie, highly charming. You love Robert Duvall in this movie. And then on the other hand, they're both former Texas Rangers. We have Tommy Lee Jones, who's kind of the stern, internal kind of, he says in a special features, introvert. And yes, he is. He's that kind of, classic staple of the West. You don't wear your feelings, you don't cry, you don't tell people you love them, you don't admit you're wrong kind of guy. and the dichotomy, the relationship between these two is excellent. The performances are excellent. This is a movie, like I said, at times it will be cheesy, but then the next minute you'll be so sucked into the story, you'll be vastly in love with the characters, and you'll start to get very sad. This movie at one point killed a couple characters, and I was mad at it. I got mad at it a couple times. I got mad at it. Barry Corbin is in this movie, as well as Chris Cooper, and Barry Corbin plays a Bill Dauterive kind of character. He is very funny. I don't want to spoil this. Like I said, it's told in 4 parts, but he goes looking for the sheriff because the sheriff went looking for the guy who killed his brother on accident, who happens to be friends with Robert Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones. It's complicated. Maybe some would say convoluted, but hey. So basically what happens is Barry Corbin is, he runs into these guys in Texas, and they're just like backwoods, kind of, crazy hillbillies, and he's like, hey, how you doing? He's a really nice guy, and he's like, I'm looking for some. Nobody's answering him. He's like, I'm from Arkansas, and I just wanted to laugh so hard. He's so great in this movie. Barry Corbin is a character actor, pops up in stuff like Who is Harry Crumb, and the Critters movies, I believe he's in a couple of those. Very great performance in here. Like I said, when characters die, sometimes they establish characters for a very little bit, and they're very important, seemingly, and then they'll die, and you're like, I guess that's what their point is. This is the Old West. People die all the time. This is hard living. Even the best die at something stupid sometimes, and people die in horrible ways. There's a really telegraphed death scene in here where I was like, you're doing that? That's okay. And I knew he was dead right when they did the scene. I don't want to spoil anything, but this is a heartfelt movie. There's action in it. You get attached to all the characters. It's just great. In a lot of ways, it's great and perfect, but there's a couple things that take you out a little bit. I get sad. I don't, like, if you see, like, in Unforgiven, when Clint Eastwood kind of, gets uncomfortable and he's picking rocks out when he shoots the one of the cowboys, and he's just obviously disturbed by it. Seeing men who aren't good with their emotions show emotions in movies gets to me, and Tommy Lee Jones here, when he gets sentimental or tough at, he starts to shred that toughness at the end, you're like, oh, wow, that's really, really hard for me to watch. But love Robert Duvall in this movie. Love Robert Duvall in general, but man, this is such a good performance. This is so endearing. I love him. And Diane Land's in here. So it's just like everybody in here is great. William Sanderson pops up in here, has a nice little fun role. Great another character actor. So Robert Urich, and he plays Jake Spoon, and he is an interesting character as well. And it's just stuff with, Tommy Lee Jones not admitting things that he should have. And, it shows a lot of the ranch hand kind of lifestyle here. And it goes cross-country, so you see beautiful landscape throughout. There's some, computer effects with the rain and with buzzards where you're like, oh, okay, that's so dated, or whatever they did there doesn't look great. But I'm not really going to hold that against them for being a TV movie from 1989. You're looking for it has a beautiful score that, pulls your heartstrings. It's very sad, and people die so easy, but then there's like meanness and gunfire, and then there's tenderness. And I said when you mix those kind of harshness with the tenderness, it always gets to me. It always will get to me, and I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Really enjoyed it. There's a 50-minute making of on here, which is cool. It's on 2 discs. It's a nice steelbook, 4 parts, 6 hours. Great acting. Tommy Lee Jones is the man. Robert Duvall is the man. Everybody in here is great. Robert Duvall has this thing for horrors, as they call him in the movie. And he's out for a lost love. It's like a lot of sentimentality, big time, of the Old West, but in a way it shows its harshness, but also its cheesiness, and it does the newspaper deal at the end, which I love. Stuff like Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, if it does that perfectly, and Unforgiven. You got to have the newspaper man in the Old West just to tell the story. So great stuff. Highly recommended to check it out if you got 6 hours, and stay with it. The first one's good. The second one is the worst of the bunch, the second part, and the third and fourth pick up, and they carry it. The fourth, it's worth the investment. That is Lonesome Dove, and there is a sequel to this, which I've not seen, of course, Return to Lonesome Dove, but great stuff.
Why not go up to Montana?
And we're a shade old to start fighting Indians all over again, don't you think?
It is one of the most beloved stories of our time, hailed as one of the best westerns ever made, and now available like never seen before. Lonesome Dove, the 2-disc collector's edition. It's digitally remastered.
Pretty as ever.
For the first time in widescreen and 5.1 surround sound.
And besides the whiskey, I think will require a little respect.
See Lonesome Dove the way it was meant to be seen.
Yes, sir. Based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning book by Larry McMurtry and winner of 7 Emmy Awards, Lonesome Dove remains one of the highest-rated miniseries in TV history.
It's a bad bunch we're after. Bad as I ever seen.
we doing way up here, Mr. Gus? This ain't our country.
Featuring an all-star cast, Robert Duvall, Tommy Lee Jones, Diane Lane, Danny Glover, Angelica Houston, Chris Cooper, Steve Buscemi, Frederick Forrest, Ricky Schroeder, D.B. Sweeney, and Robert Urich.
You coming? I guess if you watch, you'll find out, won't you?
This 2-disc collector's edition DVD features new, never-before-seen bonus extras that take you behind the scenes of the American classic.
I guess I can go where I want. It's a free country, ain't it?
Including the making of an epic, a 50-minute featurette, a brand new interview with director Simon Windsor.
It's a grand adventure and great entertainment. That's why people will watch it.
Never-before-seen interviews on the set with author Larry McMurtry, Danny Glover, Tommy Lee Jones, and Robert Duvall.
It's exciting and adventurous and heartbreaking.
I felt it was a privilege to play that part. Great part.
Gus, I never thought I'd see so far.
Revisit the timeless epic like you've never seen it before. Lonesome Dove.
It ain't dying I'm talking about. It's living.
The 2-disc collector's edition, now available on DVD and Blu-ray.
Deserves got nothing to do with it.
When you have to shoot, shoot. Don't talk.
Hammer time!
For all who are willing to pay the price, we invite you to go through the mirror of life.
Hey guys, what's up? We're here to do week 10 of Hammer Time. We're doing the 1962 Hammer version of Phantom of the Opera starring Herbert Lom. Okay, do you want to do the story of this one, or it's pretty much the story of Phantom of the Opera? There's some differences, and it's a bigger Hammer movie. I love the sets and everything like that. It also stars Michael Gough, and it has the first appearance of, I don't know his name, but he's going to be a bunch of other Hammer stuff, and he's the fat guy in Vampire Circus who laughs at himself in the laughing mirrors.
Oh, he plays the
producer. He runs,
producer.
Not the producer, but he owns the theater.
Yeah.
He's responsible for the money and make sure everything goes through.
Right.
Yeah, so
it's...
It's essentially the story of the Phantom of the Opera. Yeah. We have this asshole director, played by Michael Gough, he was in the Horror of Dracula. He played an asshole in that. He plays an asshole in this so bad I wanted to kill him. He basically is a really terrible director. The lead actor, the lead character is the producer. There's obviously a young kind of background girl. The director wants to pressure her into having sex with him to give her a bigger role. And there is the Phantom lurking in behind the scenes and everything like that. And he has his eyes on her. It's the typical Phantom of the Opera story.
Well, now you have to forgive me because I've seen so many variations of Phantom of the Opera, and I think I'm most familiar with the musical, the Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah.
Is the director that stole the script, is that part of the original story?
I don't know.
Or is it only this Hammer?
It's not only this Hammer version because the Phantom of Paradise does the same exact thing. Phantom of
Paradise does it, true.
And in fact, this has a lot of similarities to Phantom of Paradise, to be honest.
Very similar, yeah.
In fact, I don't remember how the Phantom gets actually damaged in the original book.
Well, he was born that way, wasn't he?
I don't think so.
I thought he was like a freak his whole life.
I actually don't know. This is some terrible research. But anyways, here. Okay, Herbert Lom is great as the Phantom. Even though he's in mask for almost like 75% of the movie. This movie is very short, it gets right to the point, and it ends super abrasively. Almost too abrasively. Yeah. It's really dramatic and climactic, and then boom, right a cutoff right there. Like I said, this is directed... Did I say it was directed by Terence Fisher? I can't remember. Well, regardless, Terence Fisher directed it, Anthony Hines produced it, and Anthony Hines partially wrote it. So it has that, juicy Terence Fisher Hammer, flavor to it. It's well produced. The sets are great, typical. I can't remember exactly the score. They're actually doing a play about Joan of Arc, right?
Yeah, we're doing Joan of Arc. The music in it's really fun. So it's one of those movies where it has, music in the movie and it's part of the movie universe. And I always like that.
Yeah, it's fun. It can be fun, especially. I think Horror Express does it a little better with the piano thing.
Horror Express does it really well.
I love that. And I think Kill Bill even does it too.
Kill Bill does it.
Tons of movies do that.
Yeah, tons. We just watched Midsommar. They do that.
Yeah.
Amadeus. Yeah.
It's
so
typical.
like when the music is part of the soundtrack, but then it's also present in that universe. There's a word for it, and I can't think of what that word is.
Me either.
I want to say diuretic, but that's not the right word.
Okay. This I like this rendition because it feels like Batman Returns in a lot of ways. The Phantom is hiding out in the sewer. That's where his main base is, underneath the theater. And he has this weird henchman with him, this homeless man that saved his life, and he takes care of him after his accident. It's a typical. This story is director stole my work and I want revenge, and this is all revealed later on. Which I figured they should have showed the scene, what happened to the Phantom right in the beginning, and then cut to it so we don't know what happened to him.
Right.
And we want the backstory. It was kind of strange. I think that the flashback is Herbert Lom's best acting in here.
He's not hidden by a mask.
Yeah, he's tremendous in it.
Right.
It's like Herbert Lom has a great voice and he has a great presence, and I don't want to compare it to Dr. Phibes, but when you steal Vincent Price's voice for Phibes, even though it's a great performance, it's very strange.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like that. It's not that caliber of it because he still turns out a good performance. But most of the killings are actually done by the homeless man in here, his henchman.
Yeah, does Herbert Lom actually kill anyone?
I don't think he necessarily
does. And I think he says, well, sometimes he kills people.
Yeah, but it's usually the homeless guy that's hanging out and killing random people for no apparent reason whatsoever. I love the underground sewer set in here, and there's a really fun fight scene when the protagonist, who is the theater's producer, ends up, he obviously likes the woman that the Phantom has his eye on to sing the play. And the Phantom doesn't have this weird sexual fantasy with, I can't think of her name. Christine in this movie. Yeah. It's more of a, I just want my play to be played out correctly, and you are the person to do it. And he has this last wish. He's actually a very sympathetic character, except for the fact that he's very brutal towards Christine, at one point slapping her, but in the 60s and 70s movies, was it even a movie if some woman didn't get slapped by some horrible person and they play it off like it's nothing? Because they do that in almost all of them. That's just an unfortunate staple of the time in those movies. But it's kind of really weird that, the end of this movie, they just kind of do what the Phantom asked, and no, it was like, all right, screw it.
Yeah, but I don't know, there isn't a good resolution in this movie. The director doesn't get his comeuppings, and it does end really abruptly.
That is the biggest shortcoming of this movie, is Michael Gough is in it, and he's an intolerable prick, to be honest. He is horrible. He always pisses me off. In Horror Dracula, I wanted to punch him in the face, and he's supposed to be kind of a good guy.
Right.
This, I wanted to kill him. I would have killed him. He's a chauvinistic, forcing girls, casting couch kind of piece of shit. He's really snarky. He's untalented. He's a thief. Everything you could want in a horrible director. So he does a great job in performing it. The side characters in this movie really move it forward because we have all these cameos by famous kind of British people, character actors. Ripper's in here again as one of the Stagecoach guys. He was in Night Creatures. He's really good in this. There's a couple others here. The drunk from he always plays a drunk. He pops up in here. He's really fun and really weird too. And another weird
Stagecoach.
cabbie. A cabbie. Both those guys are cabbies. The heavy set guy from Vampire Circus that gets trapped in a house of mirrors and laughs himself into a heart attack pops up in this one. So it's got a nice cast. It's well acted. It's well produced. Herbert Lom, I wish was in more Hammer stuff, and in general, I love him in anything he pops up in, from The Dead Zone. He gives Christopher Walken that great speech about killing Hitler if he had the chance. And basically the statement he gives him, I would have killed the son of a bitch or a bastard. He's also in The Secret Life of Dorian Gray, the Pink Panther movies, and tons and tons. River of Death by Steve Carver, which I've talked about earlier in the episode, but not River of Death, but Steve Carver. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I think there's not really anything wrong with it. Everything except, like I said, it ends abrasively, and I wish that we would have got more. I wish it would have been chopped up in different places.
Right, yeah. And I think it's typical for a Hammer to start with, the origin in a lot of their movies, and then go into the movie. And so it's weird that they did it in this fashion. It's almost like an American style,
somewhat, it's very straightforward, but at the same time, you know what I noticed they didn't incorporate from the Phantom? There's no traps.
Yeah, but no, it's like I said, it's the story of the Phantom of the Opera, but it doesn't feel like the Phantom of the Opera.
It does, because he's hiding behind the mirror and everything like that.
Yeah.
It feels very European. You said it feels American in structure, but the thing is very European.
Yeah, it's very European.
Like, I just can't get away from just, like, thinking about all the European movies where, like, something like this would happen. They're obsessed with the theater and dancing and stage, especially Italian horror. But, you know, like, even when I think back on, like, stage fright, I'm just imagining all, like, the horrors that happen in a theater and everything that. Or, I don't know. I really enjoy it. Like I said, I think that the acting's top notch. I think that the two main characters, Christine and the hero, are both likable, although they don't stand out as much as the side characters. The side characters really bring this forth, and
They do.
Terrence Fisher obviously has an eye for character actors, so he uses them well and correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I do like it. But I'd probably only give it like a 3.5 out of 5.
I'm giving it a 7 too.
7? Okay.
Yeah, that's a 7. And I don't understand why people are like, 3.5 out of 5. That's I'm seeing people give like 5s and be like, it's not, it's terrible 5. That's average to me.
Yeah,
5 is
a 3
passable.
is average. Like
no, 3 is better than average. It's above average. I know it's not. We're not grading on like the scale like a 96 is above. I mean, it's still technically a failing when you look at it as like a grade, but it's not. For me, it's not. Like, I mean, if you're a 2.5 or above or a 5 above, I think you're passable. Like, I would recommend some 5s out of 10s, you know? I think this is a 7. I think it's great. I mean, or very good. You know, and I think it's well worth your time, especially if you like Hammer movies and everything like that. It's got some iconic stuff. It's, you know, it's cool, and it doesn't feel like exactly, you know, they replace a swamp with kind of a river, like a sewage drain. I like it.
There's some very good parts in it. The ending, it just does fizzle out, but it is a very quick movie, and I think this is my second time seeing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's good.
It's dramatic at the end, and it does remind me of Phantom of Paradise. I'm sure Phantom of Paradise took more from this than any other Phantom rendition.
I feel like you're right. It is definitely closer to Phantom of Paradise than I think Phantom of the Opera, as I know it. It's been a long time since
I've read. It's been a long time since I've read the book. Oh, and I want to point this out when we're talking about the Phantom. In the book, he always signs OG. And he's the original OG. So, like, rap, I wonder if whoever said that originally read the book The Phantom of the Opera, because original gangster, original OG. It's Opera Ghost. It's the Phantom. He's the original OG. All right, now, did you want to read this from... unfortunately, The Phantom of the Opera is not on Tear on Tape.
Yeah, it's not on Tear on Tape, but it is in this one.
Let me see this bad
7
boy.
other Phantoms.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, Phantom. Where are we at here? Phantom. Okay. You want to read this?
Yeah, sure. Oh, okay. Figure it out.
Because there's a French name in there. Is that Leroux or La Rose? I can't say.
Leroux, I think.
Yeah.
62?
Yep.
Okay. So, Phantom of the Opera, 1962, 3.5. He does out of 5, right?
Yep.
4.
5
okay,
for John Stanley.
All right. So, Hammer's filmization of Gaston Leroux's novel is comparable to the 1943 version in story and opulence.
Okay.
Herbert Lom is a phantom in a one-eyed mask. Michael Gough is the music pirate, and Heather Sears is the beautiful soprano. Polished under Terence Fisher's direction, romantically mysterious and set in London instead of Paris, with the underground chambers of the Phantom now connected with the slimy, blimey sewers. Adaptation by producer Anthony Hines as John Elder. Thorley Walters... I don't know who these people are. It just lists some names at the end.
Slimy, blimey, sewer systems. I like that.
I do like. I didn't realize that it was set in London and not
You know, I mean, I never registered thinking about the difference, but it definitely set in London. I just never thought about it. It was just like, oh, here we are. You know?
Well, I think we talk about like that how a lot of these movies, like, they might be set in France, but everybody still has a British accent.
Well, that's how they do all these movies. Like, every movie made in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I mean, even the Nazis sometimes have British accents.
They have British accents. I mean, you go see Les Mis on stage, which is clearly a French story, and it's like everybody sounds English. Like, they'll have, like, Cockney accents, and it's like, okay.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I like it. I would recommend it. Next week is The Damned, which I believe is more of a thriller, and it does star Oliver Reed. I've never seen it. I think it's called also Are These Damned or Are They Damned or something like that. But The Damned. I'm looking forward to checking that out. Don't know much about it. I know it's kind of more of a thriller thing, but hey, it's on the list. I wanted to do it. I haven't seen it. Don't know much about it. It's got Oliver Reed, so.
When are we watching Gorgon? When's Gorgon?
Gorgon is like, oh jeez.
That I'm excited
like
for
4 weeks later.
I'm excited for the title alone. You guys have no idea.
How about it's a huge letdown?
I mean, I'm not going to let that get in my way of liking it.
You just already made up your mind?
I've already made up my mind.
That's terrible. You shouldn't do that.
I've never seen it, never heard of it. I just like Gorgon, so...
Here comes the streak of me telling you to watch another one. I don't think I've told anyone not to watch any of them. Medusa was a great Gorgon.
Yeah,
Medusa's the only Gorgon I know. Who else is there?
Well, but she has her 2 sisters. I can't think of her names currently. And Gorgon's actually like an ancient goddess. But we're going to go on a tangent. We should probably say
I know that there's Gorgons, yada, yada, yada. But I only know the Gorgon from Clash of the Titans, like any good American would.
Well, you know that Medusa was only turned into a Gorgon because she was raped in the temple of Athena by Poseidon, and Athena had to punish her. So her punishment was to turn her into a Gorgon, not to necessarily punish her, but because Medusa had scorned all men, and so she wanted a way to keep her safe and protected, which is why she turns men into stone.
Roll that Phantom of the Opera
All right,
trailer.
Phantom of the Opera.
Come if you dare within these walls. On stage is color, beauty, and light, but in the shadows lurks a monstrous evil.
Young woman, you must come with me.
Terror haunts these dusty corridors. Murder waits its call in the dressing rooms. And on cue, death makes his entrance. They have no right to love and happiness, for this beautiful young girl is tangled in a web of terror. The Phantom of the Opera. The hideous echo of a night of agony and horror. A night that must be avenged, even from beyond the grave.
Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed that hammer time. I guess I'm using my phone because I'm obviously running low on ink. Sorry about that. But we're going to hop into the questions. Nick Mua, which films have received far too much hate over the years? I always thought that Twilight got too much flack. I've actually not seen Twilight. I'm sure it probably receives more hate than it deserves. But, I'm not interested in it. But I don't hate on it. I just won't go see it, It's just not my thing. It's not for me. It's not made. I'm not the target audience for something like that. I can see that. But which movies got too much hate? Waterworld. I'm glad that's just brought up recently a lot, and it should. It's not a bad movie. It's very fun. I know it's like, hey, this is a big budget failing of a movie. I feel like that movie Hansel and Gretel probably gets some hate. That's a fun movie. I've always loved Cullibus and The Item. I don't know if they ever got hate. Item gets hate. Item gets hate. I don't think it deserves it. What else doesn't deserve so much hate? I'm trying to think. Punisher Warzone is an awesome, entertaining movie. Don't think that deserves any hate. What do we got? Would you ever do a project solely for money even though you hate the content? Money talks, right? Depends the content, depends the money. It all depends. If they're going to offer me a ridiculous amount of money, I'm going to do it. But if the content is extremely off-putting or something like that, and the money's not high enough, no, I won't do it. I'm not going to lie to you and say, I am a moral high horse. And say, if it pays, it pays. I'm sorry, But at a certain point, it's got to be something I'd really hate for high money to not take it or something. It has to. You got to weigh your pros and cons. Like the $1 Million Man says, right? Ted DiBiase, everybody's got a price. For you guys WWF fans over there. Rock Soap. How cool would it be if someone went back and made a Fantastic Four movie as for made in the late 60s and 70s? Bet it would look like Lost in Space or Sinbad. Ooh, that would be really fun. Who would you cast in in the 60s? You could be like, man, Ernest Borgnine is the Thing. Come on. You could get a classy guy as Mr. Fantastic. You get like Gregory Peck or something like that. You can make an awesome movie, okay? I'll tell you that. Okay, and then we have some answers. I asked what book do you want made into a movie, and what movie were you surprised was made from a book? Chris Rivers. There are 2 books that I keep hoping will be made into movies. The first is The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova, about a farmer and daughter in search of the tomb of Vlad Tepes, a.k.a. Dracula. The second is Billy the Kid, The Endless Ride by Michael Wallace. It strips away the legend and deals with the facts about the kid. Both are definitely great reads and would make great films in the right hands. Sounds good. Nigmula. Clive Barker's In the Flesh would make an excellent film if handled correctly, and cast just right, perfectly. Garrett Dillahunt and Thomas Dekker. Also, he has one of my go-to movies since childhood is Beastmaster. I was very surprised to find out it was based on a fairly respected sci-fi novel. Though book and movie are miles apart, also didn't know Die Hard was based on a novel. Okay. And then we have some questions that came in late from last week about have you ever gotten in trouble for being a cinephile? And we have Bumpus Hounds. Question about cinephile trouble. My late teens, I discovered a video store that had an amazing horse section on VHS, and being a young moron, I decided to regularly go into the video store and sit in the back and peel the security stickers off the tapes, which would literally underneath the back part of the tape, and you can flip up, and put them back on the shelf so I could go back later with my gym bag and steal them. After doing this couple of months, the owner confronted me when I was leaving with 13 tapes in my bag. Long story short, I got arrested and had to do community service at the local animal shelter. Fun fact, the female officer mentioned that I had some pretty sick tapes in my bag. Among them, Love Me Deadly, Don't Go in the House, and Lunch Meat, and was trying to suggest that I was perhaps a psycho because of my taste in film. Now that I'm 39 years old, I can't believe I actually did something so stupid, but we all have made mistakes. Yes, we have. That lunch meat tape is worth a bunch now, guys. Then we have 80s film fan. With regards to question of the week, none of my family can relate to my love of movies. Even more so because my main passion is horror and exploitation cinema. They think I'm weird. My stepmom even went as where is it? Oops, sorry. I'm a moron. My stepmom even went as far to call me a pervert, which I told her I have a YouTube-related channel for my love of collecting films, especially horror. I'm not sure if she maybe misunderstood what kind of films I collect. My sister thinks it's sad that I collect films. My dad has always wished I was more into football so I could connect. But from a very young age, I'm now 40, I always loved film. As a young kid, I'd watch The Wizard of Oz daily. Later on, it was Labyrinth and the Ridley Scott movie Legend. And then I discovered horror movies with like The Gate, Alien, Hellraiser, Nightmare on Elm Street. From that point on, I was hooked on horror and finding new horror movies I'd not seen. My work colleagues have often commented that I find my love of horror a little weird too. I can't explain why I love movies so much. Maybe it's escapism, but I do think your average Joe finds people like you and I, who have an obsession with cinema, to be a little strange. To be honest, I honestly don't have much problem at work, but everybody at my work's a nutcase and they don't care. And they know me by now. It's been like almost a decade, so they're used to me, I guess, for the most part. But I have had people be like, like talking to people and make them borrow movies, and then they're like, I don't want to borrow any more movies, or just like, okay, stuff like that. But I just don't think. I think that also, I imagine, I think you're from the UK. Or, I think that people are a little bit more harsh on horror movies in the UK. I'm going to be honest. Or at least maybe in Ohio, they just don't care as much. It's, kind of a moderate place where most people are chill. Tim Hayes, question of the week. Has being a cinephile ever gotten you in trouble? Don't know if you got me in trouble, but when I was in high school, I had both social worker and my mother lecture me about watching movies. My social worker would bitch at me saying, movie and TV viewing are escape from reality. I just like to relax when I watch TV or movie. My mother would repeat similar things. My social worker told her the videotapes of movies and TV are basically just toys. I always hated the lecturing over it, but I just wanted to relax after school and on the weekends as a teenager. I don't blame you. I guess we're going to hop into the question of the week, and I want to ask you guys, what is the must-have Criterion release? Since Criterion's having their 50% off, what is a must-have Criterion release? What is the one title, you got to have it. That's it. I don't want to see like 30 titles. Keep it to a couple, okay? Because I want to grab some before the end of this month, so yeah. But I guess we're going to hop into the update. Okay, let's hop into this with a bang. From the Barnes & Noble Criterion sale, I thought I had this on Blu-ray. I didn't. Roman Polanski's Rosemary's Baby. Classic movie. Come on, guys. It's one of the best horror films ever made. I've only seen it one time. Look forward to watching it in style on Criterion Blu-ray. Great stuff. Can't say anything else about it. It's perfect. Then we have one from the Arrow sale, The Story of Sin. I'm not going to say this director's name, but I know that Kat Ellinger and Sam Deacon did the commentary on here, I believe. Makes me happy. I like this guy's work. I saw The Strange Case of Dr. Osborne and what is the other one? The La Bête, The Beast. I thought they were very interesting movies, so I had to pick this one up. This is an Arrow Academy, The Story of Sin. And then we have this one, Ray Harryhausen Special Effects from Arrow. I did not have this. Love Ray Harryhausen stuff, so why not? Interviews, it looks like, with a bunch of people like Spielberg and John Landis. So, yeah, good stuff. And then we have from Grindhouse, The Tough Ones by Umberto Lenzi. Yeah. This looks awesome. There was a sequel to this one, which I do have, but I held off on watching because I haven't seen this one. I'm excited to check this one out. It looks cool. I love the little skeleton cop on the back. But yeah, got to give it up to Grindhouse. They release great stuff, do a great job. Just wish there was more of it. That's a compliment there. And then we have Murder by Death from Shout Factory. Not seen this. Looks fun. Had a nice cast. Looks kind of like a, very, I don't want to say farcical or spoofy, but, comedy with murder, like gothic murder comedy thing. Looks cool. Then we have, that's right, Deadly Force with Wings Hauser. This looks nonsense, but I can't help it. I want to see it. It looks fun. Look at him. He's got a gun and everything. I hope he goes crazy. Hope he goes full wings. And then we got Black 47. This looked like, a Western. Hugo Weaving in it. Yeah. Is this one Australian, I believe, possibly? Powerful period revenge fable. A resonant, beautiful, performed Irish Western. Okay. Yeah. The commercial looked good. I saw part of it. This looks good. So I had to grab it. Starman from John Carpenter starring Jeff Bridges and Karen Allen. I've never seen this one. And I hear it's one of John Carpenter's best movies. Yeah. So I want to grab, I think I have all the Shout Factory John Carpenter movies, and I will continue to get them if they release any more. So yeah, Starman. And then we have one DVD, The Losers. I grabbed this. I thought I had this, but I didn't. I grabbed this because I listened to the Pure Cinema podcast where they had Quentin Tarantino on it, and he kept bringing this up. William Smith stars as a biker. Like William Smith. Yeah, like Dark Sky. Why not? It was cheap. Maybe I'll get a Blu-ray. I don't know, but I got it now, and I'm going to check it out when I can. So I guess we're going to hop back to the video, guys. Thank you guys very much for watching, and as always, you guys have a good one.